few months ago, a video went viral of a popular travel influencer going through a flawless, glowing neon alleyway in Tokyo. It looked stunning, and I saw that million people liked it, saved it, and millions of people added that destination to their bucket lists. We've officially entered an era where you can no longer spot a fake. I'm not just talking about obvious AI deep fakes, it's deeper than that. Our algorithms, our news, our entertainment, and even our architecture are being completely optimized to give us hyper perfect visions of reality. We're slowly losing our taste for the genuine because the artificial versions of things are just more satisfying. Today, we're going to look at the psychology of what scientists call hyperreality, the exact moment I realized my own brain was falling for it, and how this digital matrix was quietly pulling us away from real, authentic faith in God. Let's get into it. I had a pretty jarring wake up call about this in my own life recently. I took a weekend trip to a state park that was in the mountains, and there was waterfalls nearby. I was going to build a cabin with one of my friends and my dad. I was so excited. I've seen the pictures online. It looked beautiful. I was excited to do this and live in a cabin. And when I finally got there to help build this cabin, I stood there in person looking at the landscape with my own eyes, and my very first internal reaction wasn't like awe or this is beautiful. It was a weird sense of disappointment. And that's when it really hit me, and it actually scared me a little bit. My brain had been so deeply conditioned by hyper-saturated, color-graded, perfect digital footage that actual nature felt boring. And to me, I had consumed so many perfect copies of these mountains and waterfalls and this cabin that the real mountains and landscapes couldn't compete. And as I sat there, I realized this wasn't just affecting how I looked at trees and rocks, it was affecting how I looked at my faith. I'd become so addicted to high production, emotionally manipulative digital experiences that sitting in a lone, quiet room with a Bible and no music felt boring. I had to realize that my relationship with God wasn't about a screen, and it was being filtered through this screen, and it was killing my ability to experience the raw, unedited presence of the Creator. There's a famous philosopher named Jean Baudrillard who introduced a concept called hyperreality. Hyperreality happens when a simulation of something becomes more desirable and feels more real than the actual thing it's mimicking. Think about fast food commercials. The burger on the screen is made of plastic and cardboard. It looks so perfect. But if they showed you the real soggy burger, you wouldn't want it. Now apply that to your spiritual life. We scroll through aesthetic faith content, perfect 60-second sermon clips with cinematic background music, and influencers talking about God in perfectly curated settings. The danger isn't that it's staged. The danger is that your brain actively adapts to the fake. When you spend hours a day consuming hyper-optimized simulations of faith, real-life faith starts to feel slow, too messy, and too imperfect. You start retreating further into the digital world because the physical church, with its real, flawed, inconvenient, beautiful people, feels like a letdown. But God doesn't live in a simulation, He lives in reality. This problem has fundamentally accelerated because of how media is delivered to us today. We've reached what experts call the death of plausibility. Because anything can be faked perfectly using generative technology, the line between truth and illusion has completely dissolved. We stopped using our spiritual discernment that God tells us to use in Proverbs 13, and we don't gut check with the Holy Spirit, and we start relying on metrics. If a video has millions of views, we assume it's true. If a lifestyle looks beautiful, we assume it's blessed. We're swapping divine truth for digital consensus, and that is exactly how you lose your footing. If you want to keep your mind and faith anchored in what's real, you have to intentionally seek out things that cannot be optimized by an algorithm. Here's your challenge for a week. Try the raw reality experiment for the next 7 days. Find one spiritual practice and do it completely analog, which means leave your phone in another room, open a physical Bible, and sit in total silence for 10 minutes, without a playlist playing in the background, nothing. And force your brain to remember the beauty of a real connection with God, one that is slow, unedited, and beautifully raw. Thanks for locking in with me on this deeper topic today. If you ever felt that weird digital fatigue or real life and real faith a little too quiet, drop a comment below and we can talk about it. Hit the subscribe button to join the channel and keep growing, keep trusting, and take care.